Welcome to Central Missouri Alumni Stories. I'm your host, Corey Bittner. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Emily Crawford, the owner of OA Creative Concepts and Trio Marketing.
Good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Emily. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule as the owner of two businesses and the mother of three children. And we were just chatting briefly offline about how you work in your sleep with your distributors in China. I'm sure that your schedule is a crazy one, so I appreciate you carving some time out today.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Well, good. So, for our audience that's tuned in today, whether you're watching or listening, a little bit more about Emily. So I mentioned, of course, the two different businesses, Trio Marketing and OA Creative Concepts, that Emily's the owner of. OA Creative Concepts is your own business where you have a few different products. The Lavelu Lounger. Did I say that right? Lavelu?
Yep, that's
All right, perfect. The Lavelu Lounger and also the Bumblebee.
Yep, lave means to wash. And yeah.
Okay, good. Which again, congratulations on your recent success with those. I know that those have just gone on to the Walmart marketplace and they're available on Amazon as well. So
That's right.
It's very exciting. And I always appreciate talking with, other alumni that have the entrepreneurial spirit. And it sounds like it's been, a fun road for you to get to where you're at now. And every day is its own challenge. And with the success that you're having comes a huge learning curve.
Lots of hurdles, yes.
And I'm excited to kind of talk about that. And then also, how your education at UCM or CMSU kind of helped, prepare you for everything. So good. So we'll kind of go ahead and get started here. Oh, and one other note for our audience too. Emily also has a story here to share with us about her experience with Shark Tank. The popular show that a lot of people are familiar with. So we'll kind of talk about that too. But to just kind of get us kicked off, Emily, I mean, in terms of your backstory, did you grow up in the Kansas City area or where are you from originally?
Sure. So I'm from Greenwood, Missouri. It's just between Warrensburg and Kansas City. Yep. And I actually was a commuter student. So I lived at home and drove back and forth to school every day when I was in college. So that for me was a lot of fun because I had a lot of drive time. It took me about 30 minutes. On the snow days, it took 2 hours.
Right.
And the best was, back then we didn't, back in the day, we didn't have any of this online system. And so I would show up after a 2-hour drive down to school and there'd be a note posted on the door that classes had been canceled, go back home. And so I'm sitting there in the parking lot like, all right, okay. And so I had just a lot of time to think and plan and listen to music and that kind of thing between my commutes. But yeah, I was kind of an unconventional student and stayed at home for school, but still had a really great experience. But yeah, I grew up in Greenwood, Missouri, and my whole life I wanted to be an archaeologist or an anthropologist. And I grew up singing, doing vocal performance and playing violin, had classical training. And when it came time to choose what I was going to do, and where I was going to go to school, I actually wanted to go to Arizona State University. And my parents said, don't go into archaeology. You won't make any money. You can't do that. And my dad said, you're really good with people. And both of my parents actually went to UCM. And so they are also alumni of the school. So they both said, why don't you just go down to Warrensburg and just do communications? You're really from archaeology to public relations in literally a year. It was, I graduated high school and went straight into that program and haven't looked back since. I loved it. I fell in love with the classes. Everything that I learned and every teacher I had, I use every day in my job, whether it's with my marketing company or my creative concepts company doing product design. I use all of it every day. And that's the beauty of it. A lot of people have this degree and they don't necessarily do anything with it. Or they don't go into a field of which they studied. And mine was just a perfect transition. I've been very grateful and blessed to be able to use everything I learned and stay in contact with professors and be able to now work with some of the students as interns for my company. So I'm pretty excited about that.
No, that is very exciting. And there was just a period, Emily, when you were speaking where the camera or I think the audio might have glitched on us for a moment. Again, the Zoom world that we're living in today. But I did want to, I don't know if you stated this or not, but when you went off to school at Warrensburg, did you know that PR was what you wanted to study and that was a major that you declared? Or what did
No,
that
I
kind of
mean,
look like?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my parents were actually the ones that encouraged me because of my theater and musical arts training.
Okay.
I've been performing in front of people and doing the national anthem at stadiums and had always been in front of people. And they felt like that my strengths were in communications. And
Okay.
I honestly didn't even know my senior year in high school, I didn't know what public relations was until I started learning more about it. And then as I got into school, I fell in love with it. I loved it.
No, it's great. Now you said you performed the national anthem in stadiums. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So I performed before it was Sporting KC. They were the Kansas City Wizards.
Yep.
I actually performed the national anthem for one of their games.
Okay.
And yeah.
And they played at Arrowhead, right?
Yes, that was at Arrowhead. It was terrifying. It was pre-recorded, but it was terrifying.
I bet. I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah,
Well,
but
good.
I kind of, when I graduated, I didn't pursue classical music or anything after, but I still perform for weddings and just at church, that kind of thing. So I still do that, and it's a really good creative outlet for me, but I'm so busy now building my companies that
Yep.
kind of got pushed aside for a little bit. But I think in the near future, when my kid's a little bit older, I'd love to join the local symphony and do that kind of thing.
What is your instrument?
Violin.
Violin. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's really neat. Well, I did kind of want to talk though. So while you mentioned you were kind of an unconventional student, right, and that you commuted,
Yeah.
And you did that all 4 years, is that right?
Yes, all 4 years.
Yeah. So you commuted all 4 years, and when you were in college, and as you kind of started the communications road, and then ultimately public relations, what did you, if you can kind of rewind and think back to that period, what did you envision as your dream job? What did you think you would be doing?
Oh, I really enjoyed my communication law courses. I loved that portion of it because I liked being able to figure out a problem and finding a solution and kind of representing someone. So I thought about going into communication law. Yeah, I don't think I really ever had an actual career path plan until somebody at the school said, here's the career paths you can do with this degree. Okay. And then it was like, oh, the light bulbs are going off. Like, this is what I can do. And then what I ended up doing my junior year is getting an internship at the Kansas City Zoo in their marketing department. And then after I graduated, a couple of years later, I got a job at the Kansas City Zoo as their marketing coordinator. So it was very helpful to have people constantly telling me and helping me and molding me to say, hey, these are the pathways that you can do an internship, see what it feels like this. And I was not into heavy editing and writing. I can do that. I'm very good at it, but it wasn't fun to me. I needed something where I would not be at a desk all day because I cannot sit in a cubicle, obviously. And I needed something that would allow me to still be creative. So I actually dove heavy into creative magazine design. That's a lot of what I do right now for my marketing company is the graphic and creative direction design.
Okay. No, that's good. And when did you, or I guess, what was your first job after you graduated?
Yeah, so I got, my first job was communications director for the Independence Chamber of Commerce. Okay. So I went straight into my career. And I worked there for 7 years and loved it. And I kind of just grew out of the position where there was nowhere to go upwards for me. And so, and I was ready to move up. And so that's when I transitioned to my job at the zoo and worked there for a couple of years, and then to tourism and marketing and PR. Okay.
All right, Emily. So, in the roles that you were in with, both the Independence Chamber of Commerce and then the zoo, can you kind of talk about how some of the skill sets and lessons that you learned from your time at UCM, how applicable were those to what you were doing?
Sure, they were 100%. I went straight into my first job, and my first line item was we had a newsletter due. And I had just come from a publishing class, freshly graduated in May, and I started my new job in June, and it was like, hit the ground, and here's what we need you to do. And so I was able to take everything I learned and immediately apply it. And I have been doing that ever since. And in fact, they were, the school was so equipped with the proper programming and all of that, that I had learned on a newer version of a publishing program that when I got to my new job, I had to have them buy updated software because they were kind of behind. And so it was just really neat to see that not only are they teaching you everything you need, but they're using the newest technology out there to teach you. So you can go into a company and be an innovator and offer up new options and ideas. Every job I've had since then has been a public relations job of some sort, PR marketing. And I use everything I've learned, whether it be, and I mean, even that same year, I had a press conference come up just a month after I had been hired. And they're like, okay, manage this, handle it. Like, oh, okay, I learned about this. And so, we were always taught you never say no comment, and you always have something to say, even if you can't say anything at all. You say, we'll get back to you. And just using all of those things that we learned, I was remembering all my teachers in my head saying, okay, now don't ever do this, do this. And it was a really neat experience to be able to take everything I learned and just pour it into these companies that I had worked for.
Yeah, that's really neat, because also being, a public relations major myself, I know that in kind of following the program and still staying involved, to this point, that I think they kind of view themselves as wanting to be, innovators, and they view themselves as wanting to stay on top of technology, et cetera, as it changes. But it's really neat to hear for someone like you that, you kind of got thrown into the deep end pretty quickly in the roles that you started, but you have those direct parallels between what you learned and how you can apply it. Because, there's kind of a general theory or belief or consensus, I guess, that, a lot of people feel like, well, college, you learn, it shows that you're capable of learning. And then, once you actually start a job, your experiences will really kind of shape your career. But it's good to hear that, you starting those jobs you weren't just hired because your college degree said that you were capable of learning, but you were hired because of your specific skill sets that you acquired while you were in school that you started applying almost immediately.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for sharing all of that, Emily. What, at what point did you make the decision or the shift, or what was the catalyst to say, I'm going to go in business for myself? Can you tell me what that kind of looked like?
Sure. So I started getting a lot of private requests for independent work. And that was prior to being married and having children. So I would go to my day job, do all of my work there, and then come home at night and work on graphic design projects or photography, or doing some marketing and PR for other companies. And it got to where I had so many requests for that, that I really kind of had to make a choice. That went on for about 3 years, where I was working 2 businesses at once, where I was going to my day job, coming home, working my night job. And then I got married and I had my son, and I realized that plan was not going to work anymore.
Sustainability,
yeah, there's no time in the day. So I decided to pursue some retainer clients and see how that would work out. And I ended up landing a large tourism contract to do marketing and PR for a tourism destination. And it was enough to cover my full-time salary that I was making at my day job. And That was it. Yeah. So in December of 2014, my husband and I both quit our jobs at the same time. And we started our own company. So he started his general contracting company, and I started full-time with OA Creative.
Excellent.
So it was like, boom.
And then you truly were off and running. Yeah. What a, that's pretty neat. Good for you guys. Obviously both very entrepreneurial, I'm sure. And now with OA Creative, you have, I kind of talked early in our introduction about the 2 products that you have. Can you just sort of walk me through, from when you started it to the products that you have now and what happened in between?
Yeah. So after my son was born, we kept trying to find cool outfits. So we didn't want shirts that had like basketballs or bears, teddy bears on them. We wanted something fun. We wanted like skulls, or the colors like black, red, gray just didn't exist in Babyland. So I actually started researching what it would take to create my own clothing line for babies. So I had started doing my own screen printing, and then I got to dabbling into the world of print on demand clothing. And that really changed everything for me. And when I found out that there was this whole internet world that you could literally be completely hands off, where you hand it off to someone, they do the work, and they pick, pack, and ship it. That was the catalyst for me of, oh, wow, this could be something completely different. So I actually started another company, a third company called Rockin' by Baby, and ran Rockin' by Baby until actually this fall of 2019. And I created the Bumblebee underneath that Rockin' by Baby brand. And in about October, I received a cease and desist letter from a very famous drummer of a rock and roll band. And it basically went like this. I own the brand XYZ. Your brand is too close and it's infringing on our rights. Stop production of everything, take everything off the shelves, or we're suing you for basically trademark infringement.
Gosh.
So I was up against this wall of, I had already produced the lounger. It had not gone to market yet. The bee was selling amazing on Amazon. And here I was with all of my packaging, had this Rockin' by Baby brand on it, and I couldn't use it. So I tried to fight it. He had more money. And I said, can we come to an agreement where I sell off my current product, my current inventory.
Yep.
And then I will change everything over to something new. And they agreed to that. So no money was lost there. I did lose some money on lawyer fees. So essentially I took this as notification that I needed to stop. I had to change. I was not allowed to use that Rockin' by Baby brand in public domain, and had to settle out. And so what I did was I spent probably November through December of last year trying to figure out what to call my company. And it just so happened that I had already started another marketing company with 2 other partners called Trio Marketing. Mm-hmm. And OA Creative had kind of dissolved. I had merged all of my marketing and PR clients into Trio Marketing. And we had an agreement where I would not take on any new clients through OA because we were bringing them into Trio as a partnership. Because OA had grown to the point where I couldn't handle it on my own anymore. I needed help. And so we just, my partners and I, that we were doing some subcontracting for each other, decided that it would be a good idea to just merge and create a company. So after going through all of these absurd names for my baby company, I'm like, man, why don't I just use the company I already have and put it all underneath there? So OA Creative purchased Rockin' by Baby for $1 in December of 2019.
That's
and rebranded to OA Creative Concepts. And that's what all of my products now sell under, is this OA Creative Concepts company brand. And that was really smooth. It was kind of one of those things where it was a duh moment, like, well, obviously, yes. Why are we not just doing this? And so I'm able to, all the packaging worked out where I didn't have to reprint anything. The lounger packaging had not gone to print yet. So I was able to get the inserts for the bags all fixed up and take out all the Rockin' by Baby stuff. So yeah, it wasn't an easy going from corporate America where you get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. Your insurance is covered. You know you're going to have a job when you walk in the next day, to, oh my goodness, like, how are we going to make the mortgage this month? I mean, we went through a very dark time where we didn't know, people weren't paying their bills. And as new business owners, we didn't understand that. Like, you invoice them, they pay, then you pay your bills.
Should be what a noble concept.
It does not work that way. So we went through a rough time in 2015, just trying to get past, okay, so how do we now make sure that we have enough in the savings to make sure that we can pay these bills, so that if somebody doesn't pay, we're not ever in this situation again.
Yep.
And so it's been, a growth. Every step I take is a new, we call it here at the house, like working in quicksand, where you feel like you're climbing up and then you'll slip back down a little bit. And that's really how it's been up until now. And surprisingly, in the middle of a pandemic, everything is going very, very well for my company. And,
excellent.
And I don't take that for granted any day. Every day I wake up and I'm so blessed to have success at both the Trio Marketing and with OA Creative. I do not let that pass on a daily. I understand that I am very fortunate to be in that situation right now when other people are hurting.
No, that's a really good perspective to have. But, I also admire just your, resilience and persistence, right? I mean, through those difficult times, because that is where we all learn, right? And that's how we all grow. And it's funny to hear you say that, because I feel like that's such that's just part of being an entrepreneur, right? It's like going through those experiences. It's almost like you have to go through that to get where you're at now. You have to have those learning lessons to know what to do and what not to do moving forward.
Yes. And no one can do it for you. There is no course or anything that you can purchase or anyone you can hire that will do it for you. They'll give you the lessons and they can teach you maybe some mistakes that they've made, but you still at the end of the day have to go do it. It's not going to show up on your front doorstep in an Amazon box. You got to go do it.
Yep, exactly. That's great. Is there with OA Creative Concepts and now and your products that you have, I understand that you were kind of going through the process basically, or have already begun the process of, where you've been pitching, big box retailers like Walmart, for instance, Amazon. I mean, that's not that's no small feat. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. It's because of COVID, they're not having these big conventions, these product conventions where the buyers will meet with the sellers and you bring prototypes and all that. It's all moved to an online platform. And I really wanted to take the next step. So I'm selling on Amazon, and I just recently Walmart Marketplace, and I wanted to move towards in-store. And, every time I go to Target or Walmart, I'm in the baby section because I have a 1 and a 3 and an 8-year-old. So I'm still in that world. I'll see these products on the shelf like, man, my product would look perfect right there. And I started pursuing, what does this look like? Who do I call? How do I get in the door? And I found a program called Range Me. And it's essentially like a dating site for product developers or product owners and buyers for big box companies. And you go online and you make a profile, and then you submit through that profile. And if they like what you have, they will follow up, and you get to have a Zoom pitch meeting with them. So I landed one with Walmart and was terrified. You hear these stories about people going down to Bentonville, and it's really hard. And, I had these 2 wonderful ladies come on, and it was super chill. And they were like, first of all, we love your products. We think they're amazing. We think it's awesome that you designed them as a mom. We would love to have you online. And then we're looking at moving you towards in-store or an owned product in 2021. So immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is,
Walmart's going to sell my stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it hits you with this gravity of weight that you can't fathom, because for 3.5 years I've been working on all of that. And I had although I was pursuing it, I think in my mind, I didn't actually feel like, well, this is really hard. Like this is probably not going to happen. So I set myself up for that failure in my mind. Like if it doesn't work, we'll just move on to the next one. It's
figure
fine.
Something else out. Yep.
And when it was so easy, it was like, oh, okay, where do we go now? What happens now?
Well, it's a testament to the product, though, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I just onboarded with them a couple weeks ago, and so the product is live. The bumblebees are in production, and we'll have those back online in a couple weeks. So yeah, it's been, and the pitching thing, I think that what I want to tell people is that it's not as scary as you think it is. Everybody eats lunch. Everybody goes to the restroom. We all have to sleep. We all, like we're all human at the core. And so don't be afraid to just go out there and do it, because if you don't walk through the door, you don't know what could happen.
You're
and so don't
it
be
won't
afraid
happen.
Like don't be afraid of the rejection, because that's okay. One person rejects you, 15 other may love you, but you won't know until you take that first step.
Yep.
But I was terrified.
Yeah, no, well, and I again appreciate and admire that, though, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, because that, again, like we were talking about offline here, that's kind of where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Now, did you, just obviously hearing what you're saying and kind of telling your story and what that looked like, as a Shark Tank fan myself, right? I'm drawing a lot of parallels, and if there's any other Shark Tank viewers, I'm sure a lot of what you're hearing sounds familiar. So I know, Emily, that you went through basically the Shark Tank auditioning process. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
So in February of 2020, before the whole COVID scare happened and people were under quarantine, I was on LinkedIn and was served up an ad for open auditions for Shark Tank. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. I love Shark Tank. I've been watching it for years. This is my big break. I'm going to go do this. So I get there and there's about 250 people in the audience. And that in itself was overwhelming. I had no idea that there was that many people in Kansas City with that much talent. And So basically it was super overwhelming, and we went, they took us by number groups, and you didn't know how long the wait time would be. So I went back behind, it was in the gym theater in downtown Kansas City. And they took us back behind the stage actually for the audition. And you had 3 minutes to pitch, and that was it. And if you went over on your time, they would cut you off. And so that itself was really nerve-wracking. But I had been practicing and knew what I was going to say, and went back there. I had a really good experience. He actually circled my phone number on my intake form. And so I thought, oh, this is it. He circled my phone number like a first date. You know, I was just thinking of every single possible thing that I could hang on to. You know?
Yep, of course.
And, you know, so it was an awesome experience. And it also put things into perspective for me, because I work in a bit of a silo when I'm developing.
Sure.
And because it's just me, and to be able to see all these other people out there doing this, I'm like, oh gosh, it actually drives me to be better, because I know that there's 250 other people out there pushing for the same thing I'm trying to do. So it means I just have to be better at what I do. Yep. And so about 4 weeks went by, and I got a phone call from a casting producer with Shark Tank. And I immediately, when the phone number said California, I lost it, because I don't know anybody in California. And so I pick up the phone and immediately start squealing. He's like, Emily? Yes. And he goes, this is so-and-so from Shark Tank. And I said, you guys said you would only call if it was good news. And he goes, well, I have good news. And it was just, of course, I lost it, and I was melting. And so I went on to, it was so cool just to get a call back. And so I was actually taken into phase 2 and was under contract during that phase 2, and wasn't allowed to tell anyone what had happened. I had to do more work with them, submit videos, send in a product for their team to kind of look it over. And it wasn't until July, the last week of July, they reached out and said that I had not been picked for that season, which is fine. I was prepared. I was just excited I made it to the second round. I gave myself some time to kind of take it in. I cried for a little bit, you know, I was upset, but I devised a plan that night for kind of what's next. Now that I don't have the Sharks behind me, and I don't have somebody to buy the company or to help get a licensing agreement, what do I do? And it just hit me like, well, I'm going to do what I do every time I start another company, is I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to learn it on my own. I'm going to figure out how to do this on my own, and just make it happen by myself. So since July, I have been educating myself and getting connected with some mentors on how to pitch to larger companies for a licensing agreement. And I'm going to be pitching next week. So the beauty of that is that I will get to keep 100% of the profit and not have to share it with anybody else. So although I didn't make it, it pushed me into a new world. And I'm actually learning that the licensing world is more profitable and working smarter, not harder. So I could essentially invent new products all day long and never actually have to go to market with them. I could just get a licensing agreement. So it's actually working out perfectly that I didn't get.
It ended up, it sounds like very much being a positive for you. So with all that being said, you know, what's next, right? Where do you kind of go from here? Yeah.
So my goal is to try to get both of these products licensed by a very large corporation or corporations. And in that, I would get a royalty fee, and then become a product developer for that company if they wish, and develop more either add-ons to the current products or new products for their company. And really just kind of receiving that residual monthly royalty check and doing some marketing for them to help keep promoting the product itself. That's kind of next phase. And then now that I've learned all this, I can move on to developing products without having to go completely to market and work with my manufacturers in China to create them. It's more of a concept idea that I could sell, and just keep duplicating that process over and over and over again.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really excited for the future. I look forward to seeing what else is out there.
Thank you. Yeah.
But you are, I mean, it's you know, the American dream story, right? I mean, kind of going into business for yourself, you know, you have to grind it out. Like you said, there's some ups and downs that you've had along the way, but it sounds like you're really on the upswing now. And I'm excited for the future for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And for the folks that are watching or listening, if they wanted to go take a look at your products, that are available currently, where's the best place for them to go do that?
So my website has both products featured. That's oacreative.com.
Okay.
And then to purchase, the best path to purchase is probably still through my website, because you can do a search on Amazon or Walmart for the lounger. The bee is actually, so the bee is down right now because we sold out, and those are being restocked. But as far as just more information, you can pull that up on my website, oacreative.com. And yeah.
Well, good. No, I appreciate you sharing that with me, Emily. What I want to kind of do next here is just kind of going into our next segment is what I've, creative or uncreatively, whatever you want to call it, is where I've come up with the Mule Minute, which is just kind of the lightning round here that I've taken guests through. It's, our kind of fun little segment here. The idea is, I don't have a stopwatch or anything like that, but what I am going to do is just kind of rattle off some what might seem kind of like random questions, just because, I'm curious to hear your answers. And, what I've told folks before is just, whatever's top of mind, right? Whatever comes to your mind first is what I'm looking for. But do you think you can handle that? I think you can. If you can pitch Walmart, I think you can handle the.
If it's random, I'm your, I got you.
Perfect. Well, good. So we will, to go ahead and get us started here, I'll start with an easy one. What, obviously you're very busy. When time allows for it, what's your favorite way to relax or unwind?
Oh my gosh. So I'm kind of addicted to TikTok. It's like this voyeuristic, I don't have a profile picture or anything, but I will sit for an hour sometimes in bed at night and just watch it's random entertainment for me. And it takes my mind off of all these plans and things. And I don't know why, but I just love it. I love people being silly, and it just takes my mind off of all the pressures of the world.
That's good. That is good. I know no one's really doing a whole lot of traveling right now in the midst of COVID, but under normal circumstances, do you have a favorite place to travel, favorite destination?
This is going to sound so cheesy, but my family home that I grew up in Greenwood, my parents own 75 acres, and any chance I get, that's where we go. We can ride 4-wheelers, we can walk in the woods. It's gorgeous. I'm kind of a homebody. Traveling to me is a lot of extra work, and it's frustrating for me. So we tend to stick around and just kind of enjoy the earth and the world that we have here locally, and what my parents have built over the years. So yeah, that's where we go. Good.
Are you a Chiefs fan?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you?
That's an understatement.
Okay. What is your prediction for the Chiefs record this year? As of this recording, they're 2-0.
Yeah, undefeated, going all the way.
I like it. Bold call. All right.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. Okay, good. What now, Emily, what is, throughout whether it was in college or your career, what is, one piece of advice that someone's given you that's really stuck with you?
Whew. Serving others is a privilege, not an obligation. I think that translates through. I was a server for a while through college, and like an actual server at a restaurant, but also serving for nonprofits or serving on a board or serving others. I think that that is one of the most kind acts that you can do, is to serve others, but not with the intent of receiving something back. You do it because you're doing it out of love and kindness. And so, yeah, it's a privilege to serve others. And that's really how I see my business too. When I'm serving my clients, it's my privilege to help you do better and to serve you. It is not a bother to me. I will drop everything I'm doing to come and help you if you need something. I think that that's just general kindness. And especially now in the world that we're living in, it's important to remember that, to treat others as you would want to be treated and help serve them in a way that would be meaningful for them.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that. So service is a privilege, not an obligation.
Correct. Yeah.
Good. What, again, another random question for you. What is, if you could travel back in time to any time period?
Oh my gosh.
Where do you think would be the most interesting for you to go to?
Okay. So because of my anthropology background and all of that, and wanting to be secretly Indiana Jones, I would have to go back during like the times of Moses and the pyramids, and when life was actually happening, and see it in its original form and really understand why they built them. And I'm a science history geek, and there's questions. I have so many questions, and I would love to go back to that time and just ask all the questions.
Yep. No, it's good. I like that. That is a great answer. Is there, if you were, another question for you, if you were to walk into an establishment, Emily, and there was a karaoke machine and you had to sing a song, what song would you sing?
Oh my gosh.
You have a go-to?
Speechless. I don't know. I mean, I've been known to sing a lot of Nat King Cole. I love jazz. Like anything Nat King Cole or Harry Connick Jr. or
Okay.
Ella Fitzgerald. Anything in the jazz range, that'd be me.
That'd be you. That'd be the go-to. Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, Emily, last question I have for you. What is one, if you look back on everything, what's one thing that you wish you would have done differently?
I would have saved back more cash, more money, just because cash is king. And when you have cash flow, you can do more things. It takes money to make money. And with me, with product development, I'm having to put an influx of cash into purchasing the units and then turning around and selling them. And it takes a while longer to sell them than it does to create them. But not only just for product development, but just for life. Being able to have always some type of saving business owner, it's important to have that. And especially now, with the economy the way it is and the pandemic, we don't know. And so I think just for me, it would have been, I never did any reckless spending, but I didn't ever save any money back. And as a finance person, that is so important. It's important to have that. And there's this want to, when you get the money, to spend it quickly and go buy new things. And truly, yes, that's okay to do that and reward yourself, but take a portion of it and set it aside for a rainy day or for a project that you might have that you want to complete, because you'll be able to move quicker when you don't have to go and try to get a loan every time.
Yep, that is.
So listen to your mother.
Right. Yep, no, she knows best. Yep, that is absolutely right. So, well, Emily, again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the show. It has been, a delight to speak with you, and I wish you all the best. I'm excited to kind of follow along. I know you mentioned, of course, where folks can go look at your products, but if people just wanted to engage a little bit more, interact, I think your business and then also your products themselves have their own Facebook pages and Instagram. Is that right? People could go check it out there.
Yeah. Yep. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you can find me, Emily Crawford, on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And then my products at Lave Lou Lounger on Instagram and Facebook. And then the bee itself doesn't have social yet, but we're working on that. And follow along, share with your friends. If you're getting ready to have a baby or know somebody with a newborn, it's a perfect gift. The product's amazing. Mothers across America are loving it. And I can't wait for it to be a household name and everybody have one. So.
Well, it's very exciting, Emily. Thank you. And we will be, hopefully everybody, please, take the time if you're interested to go check it out. Again, I appreciate your time being here today. For our audience, whether you're watching or listening, please make sure that you are subscribed to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. And I, of course, am always open to ideas and suggestions for future guests, for future episodes too, because we really kind of enjoyed highlighting and showcasing alumni from the university that, is all of our alma mater. So Emily, I appreciate your time again, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. See you later.